Tickle him.
I release you.
Great tournament, great experience. There you go, brother.
Welcome everyone to episode 3 of the Kombat Toon podcast. Man, am I excited. I am K7, joined by my co-host, a dude with a beard, 16-bit.
Yo.
And, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our very special guest this week, Mr. Tom Brady.
How you doing?
Very well. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Now, Tom, you've been to probably more Mortal Kombat tournaments than anyone. And this January, you're going to Brazil. How did that come about, and what are your thoughts on the competition there?
It came about when I was in Arizona. I was staying at Morty Seinfeld's house for the Devastation tournament, and I got contacted by PM by El Forte Brazil, and he just wanted to know if I was interested in coming out, that they were doing an event, and they really want to promote it well and kind of promote it, you know, not just in their area, but also internationally, you know, in the States and, you know, in Europe, and they kind of wanted a big draw. So they asked me if I'd be interested. So I told them, yeah, it's fine, and I gave him my cell, and I told, you know, the guy that was running it can contact me, and you know, we have talked over the last several weeks after Devastation, and we got everything together, and we decided that I could make it out there. So that's how it came about. And actually, I just found out last week with Hector that I need more than my passport, that I have to go to the Brazilian consulate and get an extra visa. So it's a good thing that he told me that, otherwise I would have never known. So
Yeah.
when I go to visit my family for Thanksgiving, I'm going to go to the Brazilian consulate located in New York. I'm there all week. I'm there for a whole week. They got me leaving on the 2nd, and the tournament's that weekend. So I assume there's going to be several things going on leading up to the tournament, like exhibition-wise and stuff like that. I saw their tournament last weekend. The competition looks pretty good. You know, you can never, it's so hard to look at someone play and say who's good and who's not good, you know, because so much goes into the fact that they know each other all the time, they play each other a lot, they may do certain things based on how they know someone else is. You know, like I was watching Dizzy, for example, play yesterday, and he's doing like forward 4 and an EX nut punch, you know, because he just knows they're going to respond a certain way. It's not that you would look at that and say, what an idiot, who would do that with Kate? You know what I mean? It's just, so sometimes you got to look at everyone's, you know, what they're doing, and you say, okay, well, they have good fundamentals, or they don't have good fundamentals, and I think those guys are pretty solid over there. So
Excellent point about judging match videos, man. Excellent point there.
well,
Right on. So, I mean, Tom, what's your next tournament in the immediate future?
my next tournament will be NEC
Okay.
in Philly.
16-bit, are you going to that tournament?
Unfortunately, no. My next one will be SoCal Regionals.
Okay.
Now, you know, the interesting thing about NAC is that if CD Jr. wins this, he will have won 3 East Coast majors in a row. And I think it'd be pretty hard to argue that he's not the best in the world if he can pull that off.
Michelangelo won 3 tournaments in a row, and everybody called him unbeatable, and then he never won since then. So, and this is no offense to Michelangelo, he's a great player, and this is just people just trying to put people on a pedestal. You know, I mean, I remember I was watching East Coast Throwdown when I was commentating the finals, and people on the stream were sitting there saying that Michelangelo and Chris G are unbeatable. They cannot be defeated, and they may never be defeated. So I mean, I think people have to put things into perspective here. In no other fighting game do people try to, I guess, find some kind of finality 6 months into a game. I think there's no argument that Mortal Kombat 9 has been changed more than any fighting game ever within its first 6 months. I don't think it's even close. To the point that it's actually been a turnoff to a lot of other tournament gamers where they say, well, they changed the game so much, fuck this. Um, not only has the game been changed more than any other fighting game, but in its first 6 months, we're searching for who's unbeatable, who's the best in the world. 2 years from now, if these guys are not where they are now, we'll look at them and say, they won when the game is new, they ain't shit anymore. That's what people will remember them as. So in reality, winning right now, obviously it's good, but winning now and not winning later is really more embarrassing than it is, you know what I'm saying, as a credit to you now. I mean, you got to put things in perspective. I mean, they're great players now, but the point really isn't to decide. I mean, saying someone's the best player in the world when the world has not even competed in this game is no different than crowning the #1 character in a game where we can't even make a fucking matchup chart at this point. I mean, it's
very true.
You just got to say it is what it is. You got to say good shit. These are all great players. It's hard to call someone the best in the world when they didn't even compete in Evolution. I mean, that is the biggest Mortal Kombat tournament, and it's the Mortal Kombat tournament that had the biggest collection of skill, was that one tournament. So it's no knock on someone can't be considered the best in the world, because it's almost like you're trying to knock them, but it's really not. You're just trying to keep everything in perspective and say, this guy has proven to be a great player. He can arguably be the best. Who knows? But, I mean, at this point, it's only 6 months in. I think we should be spending less time worried about who the best in the world is as opposed to worried about just leveling up the game and trying to expand on it.
Yeah, fair enough. It is interesting that the CD brothers did not go to EVO.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm never going to tell someone that they have to pony up dough for something. I mean, I understand, you got your own responsibilities. I'm never going to say don't pay your rent. Hey, you know what? Fuck college. Skip this semester this month. Go to EVO. I'm never going to tell someone to do that. But, I mean, people are just looking to crown a best in the world. And it's just so hard to do, especially right after another patch comes in. I mean, it's so difficult to do that. And there are still things that are being changed in the game, I mean, I don't know, everyone seems to have. I always say that nobody, cries for Sub-Zero when he got nerfed or whatever, because it was the person that played him was considered the primary antagonist of the MK community, so it didn't really matter. Matter of fact, if they made him the worst character, people would say, yeah, fuck you, bitch, play another game. They would, I mean, so it doesn't really bother me, but it doesn't really bother me because I still feel in the overall balance of the game, they still made him better, I think, when you look at all the changes. However, something with Kung Lao, you don't really see any tears for Kung Lao, I guess maybe because Perfect Legend has become another big antagonist of the community, or people want to look at him and say he only won because of whatever. But you look at characters like Cyrax, and people will cry bloody murder if the character cannot do 100%. I mean, they will literally say, man, I have to quit this fucking game, man, because my character is nerfed. Which I find that hilarious. I mean, Jax, Jax has a string. When that tier list with Rio and M2 Dave, when I was on AIM with those guys and they were going down the characters, do you know the qualification, whether or not Jax can beat a character or not? Do you know what their qualification was? Their qualification was, if the character cannot crouch block under forward 413, they get raped by Jax because of that glitch string. So that tells you, someone like Rio, who fights Jax more than anyone, if his opinion of that string is that fucked up that if you don't have a low hitbox, Jax rapes you for free because of that bug, then that tells you it's pretty fucked up in the long run.
Yeah.
That's being removed. The threat of that is being removed. Jax right now in the corner is fucked up. You block that forward 3 string and you have a high hitbox, you are never getting out of the corner. You might as well put the stick down. You're fucked. That's being removed. That changes a whole lot of the game, as well as when his combo comes, his damage scaling on the loop gets reduced. There are some significant changes coming to that character